Welcome. Here we are at noon on Friday. This week feels like it's been 3 weeks in one.
I agree. I agree.
Did you have the same kind of week, Judy?
Oh, oh,
It
well,
feels,
I did not one, but two presentations in Philly yesterday, including a library book club at 7 o'clock at night. So, but
wow.
it was
That's
great.
it's nice though. You're busy, which is
Yeah.
good. It's
Yes.
good.
Busy is better.
Yes. Yes. So we'll give folks just another couple seconds to get in and then we will begin. Ah, it's beautiful out today. Beautiful, beautiful.
Philadelphia.
So nice.
Who's in Philadelphia? Lysandra, you are?
Yes.
I could have had lunch with you yesterday. In my two engagements, I could have done lunch
Yes.
another time because they want me back.
Oh,
Nice.
nice. Good.
All right, let's begin. Welcome, my friends, to another exciting edition of Meet the Author. And we are so delighted to have you here with us today. I don't know if it's your first time. If it's your first time, we'll give you a little information. Meet the Author has been around for 11 years, which just blows my mind every time I say it. And we are number 4 on Philadelphia Business Journal's Best Networking Associations. So we're very, very proud of that. We meet at least monthly, and we try to have 3 or 4 in-person programs. So let me tell you about what's coming up. And I'll do a quick share screen here so you can see what's coming up. So April 25th, we have a Zoom program with Jamie Cooperstein. Jamie wrote a book called True Hospitality. She is really cool just because, one, she's just really cool. But two, she was a concierge in Rittenhouse Square, and she has some really wonderful stories to tell and wonderful insights on customer service. And then on May 8th, we have an in-person session at the Pyramid Club. We have 8 authors lined up on the panel. They are all fantastic. Registration should be open within the next several days. So we hope to see you at the Pyramid Club on May 8th. And I know my good friend Lysandra has shared a link with a discount code. So if you use the discount code Teresa Friend, you get 50% off. I'm telling you, if you register early, I think the ticket is like $12.50 with the discount, and you're going to get a nice glass of wine and some hors d'oeuvres. The only thing you have to really worry about is your train fare if you're taking SEPTA downtown or if you're parking. Otherwise, it's a bargain night out, so you should definitely meet us there. I want to do one more thing, and it's funny. Lysandra and I always plan our little links that we're going to share with you before, but I thought of something today and I just want to quick share a link. April 11th, there we go. I will be doing some comedy at the Pyramid Club. It's a rare thing. I don't get to do comedy there all that often, but my friend Chip Chantry is going to be with me. He is fantastic. Homework assignment, go out on YouTube, put in Chip Chantry comedy. You'll see his comedy special. He is amazing. So Chip and I will be there on April 11th. Tickets are only $30. We'd love to see you there. So I want to introduce our chat room ambassador and my partner in crime, Lysandra Cheatham. Lysandra, share with everyone about you.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Welcome. My name is Lysandra, and I am joining you from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania today. And as Teresa said, I am her partner in crime here at Meet the Author. So I will be in the chat room behind the scenes, adding some information. Judy has been very gracious, and there's some resources that she's giving you for free today that you'll be able to snag up, and some additional discounts for upcoming events that you can engage with Judy as well. So thank you so much for being here, and I look forward to experiencing this with you today.
I love Lysandra's out there generating conversation and capturing key points. So feel free to engage in the chat room. you will probably make a friend in the chat room if you engage there. So I encourage you to do that. So now we are about to welcome our guest author of the day. I always share the how did I get to know this author story, right? Because everybody, like, there's introductions, and I find so Judy was apparently at a concert with my sister Bridget, which is not a surprise because Bridget goes to a lot of concerts. And I believe, were you guys up in the Jim Thorpe area or up in Penns Peak? Where was that?
That was in, well, it was in Bethlehem.
Was it in Bethlehem?
It was the a Celtic music concert given by dear friends of ours. And they were the performers, and we just had to be there.
So nice.
And Bridget was right behind me, and we just got to chatting.
Yes.
Let you tell the rest.
And Bridget's like, wow, with the kind of work you do, you need to meet my sister. You guys have a lot in common.
Love that.
So, God love her, Bridget introduced the two of us. We realized, holy cow, we do have a lot in common. And when I saw Judy had published some books right away, I'm like, aha, would you like to be a guest at Meet the Author? And what's nice is because you don't live so far away, you're actually going to be with us in person in May at the women's author group. So you get to, if you want to get a book signed by Judy, come to the May program. But anyhow, we got to talking, and she has several books. So I said, why don't we do one book on Zoom, and we can do another book at Meet the Author. So that's how we met. And she's got information about her bio in her slides, so I don't want to step on that. I just want to say she is a thought leader that has been around for over 30 years and has been doing great work in topics that are near and dear to my heart, particularly leadership. So I would love to give a round of applause and a warm welcome and a discussion around the power of acknowledgement. Judy Umlas.
Thank you so much. And I am absolutely delighted to be here. And I will be sharing my screen with you. Let me just make sure I am going back to the right. That's my closing slide. Let's see if we can get back to the beginning now. I was doing a show and tell before. Let me just see. Whoops. My apologies for this. But all right, so now we have to go back to the beginning. Here we go.
Yay.
Almost. We're almost there. Slide share from the beginning. Okay. So first of all, I'm thrilled that you are all here. And whether your numbers are grand or small, I've trained as many as I think it was 10,000 people at one session I led, virtual, and as few as two in a session. But everyone here is an ambassador of the power of acknowledgement. You put yourself here, and so you have your ambassador status just by being here, because once you start, you will not be able to put this aside and say, that was okay, I don't have to do it, it was nice. But anyway, as Teresa said, I got a little background. I'm senior vice president and trainer at the international, actually that's not my latest title, I'm now senior executive director, I should correct that, at International Institute for Learning, where I've been for 33 years, after a career at CBS television and PBS. It was just the oddest of circumstances. And I'm not going to tell you the whole story here, but I have a couple of places I might do that at. And the first book I wrote was The Power of Acknowledgement, because I just couldn't stand the fact that every time I acknowledge someone, which I do very naturally, it's just part of who I am. I see something, I say something in a good way. And, my husband, he goes like, oh, another one. Today we had breakfast at a diner here, and we're in Gettysburg. I was giving a talk yesterday at the Gettysburg Library, and the waitress was outstanding. So I asked her if I could see her boss. Well, her boss wasn't there. So I said, well, let me leave her a note. So I wrote out a note, and then I delivered it to the front where they were going to give it to her. But then I saw her, and I said, I just have to tell you how, and I went on and on. So my husband's like, oh, okay, let's go, let's go. But he's used to it and he puts up with it. And in fact, he supports it. So the power of acknowledgement, just that's the rock. That's the foundation of everything I do. That led to Grateful Leadership, which you can see the cover of on the side here. And that's using the power of acknowledgement as a leader and a huge company, huge building. And when I went to the Starbucks at the building, I was shocked to see my poster of the 5 C's of acknowledgement blown up 5 feet tall and on the Starbucks door. I mean, what greater, head trip is there to find the tool you've developed on the door of Starbucks? And they let me take it home, so it's there in my office. But then the leaders I trained said, how about our kids? I don't want them to have to learn to acknowledge people fully and authentically when they're 50, like I am, or 40 or 30. I want them to know it now. Could you please write a book for kids? I said, no, I don't think so. I never did that before. They said, oh, you could do it. You could do it. And one gentleman from Brazil, he said, you write it and I'm translating it immediately into Portuguese, and we're getting into the whole Portuguese Brazilian school system where I live, a huge system. So it's now available in English and Portuguese, should you know anybody who needs it. And I'm also the founding head of the Center for Grateful Leadership, where we do podcasts and webinars, and it's just a good place to meet other grateful leaders. So that's the beginning. And my objectives here today are to show you and demonstrate how you can get great results through gratitude and appreciation. It's something that people withhold because they're fearful, or they're concerned that people will ask them for a raise, or they've got crazy reasons. And I once had a contest. It was so funny. We called it the best excuse contest for not acknowledging somebody or people. And I mean, I got amazing ones. Like, well, the winner was a person who was the leader. I don't know what you call it. He drove a submarine for the U.S. Navy. He was not just the driver, but he was the head of the whole thing. And he said, in the Navy, you never encouraged acknowledgement. You always had to do your best, and above and beyond, or you were out. So that was a good excuse, I thought. But and anyway, I want to also tell you, if you have a question or a thought, Lysandra's going to be watching the chat, and I love to be interrupted, challenged, supported, whatever you want to do. And I'm going to give you the critically important definition of an acknowledgement. We're going to discuss some of the principles of acknowledgement and really get you, ready to go as you leave today. And there's some really great articles around. I mean, this one is a little bit dated, but the science of gratitude, there are lots of things now. If you Google the science of gratitude, you'll see a lot of neuroscience articles, and it's just amazing how the principles can be demonstrated, like lowered blood pressure, and if you keep a gratitude journal, they have tracked what happens. So there's a lot of good stuff out there to support it if you're trying to bring it into your company. Grateful leadership is where this power of acknowledgement has made a huge difference for leaders around the world. And I'll never forget when I was, I guess it was about 7 years ago, my boss called me, the CEO of the company. She said, Judy, what are you doing this weekend? Not at all like her, not at all. And I said, why do you ask? And she said, I just want to know what you're doing this weekend. I said, well, it's my birthday and I'm going to the theater. We have tickets to see a great show with friends. And she said, I have something better for you. And I'm going, uh-oh, what is this? And she said, you're going to Finland. I said, no, I'm not. And she said, yes, you are. I said, no, I'm not. I have tickets to a show. She said, no, this is much better. And I ended up going to Finland. Why was I going to Finland? To replace the god and the guru of project management, Dr. Harold Kersner. You can look him up. He's written 70 books on project management. He was speaking at the International Project Management Association, 800 project managers in Helsinki, Finland. Oh, I don't know if you know what oy vey means, but that was an oy vey. And I got there and people were asking me what I was talking about. I said, grateful leadership and the power of acknowledgement. And person after person after person, this was before my session, I was the keynote. And they said, why don't you just take a tour of Helsinki and go home? And nobody wants to know about acknowledgement because it doesn't exist in the Finnish culture. And I said, wait a minute, this is not possible. But I'm here. The company paid for my trip. I'm going to be giving this speech. I didn't say that to them, but as I'm walking up to the podium, because I got there like minutes before the conference was ready for me. And I said, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a difference? How am I going to get them to listen? And as I walked up the steps, I got it. And I didn't know if it would work, but I said to them as an opening, I said, I have heard that acknowledgement, which is my topic today, does not exist in the Finnish culture. Is that true? And 800 heads nodded yes. 800 heads. Vividly, strongly. And then I said, I've also heard that Finland has the highest suicide rate in the world. Is that true? And the heads nodded a little less strongly, but yes, they were all nodding. And I said, do you think that there could be some connection between the lack of acknowledgement and the high suicide rate? And suddenly the room is abuzz. It was wild, crazy. And suddenly hands are shooting up. And I had to call on somebody. I wasn't asking them to volunteer, but I said, what's on your mind? What's going on? And somebody stood up and he said, I want to acknowledge my boss. He is the best boss I have. I'm sitting right next to him. He's right here. I want you to meet him. He's phenomenal. And then the other, I want you to meet my boss. So I was accused of transforming the Finnish culture with that session. And I was brought back to a power and oil company and other companies. And it made such a difference. They said that the culture of that part of Finland, at least, Helsinki, really changed. So I can't take credit for that, but the people were desperate for it. They were dying for it. I wonder if there's a double meaning there. Anyway, I want you to think of a grateful leader you may have known. And you know what a grateful leader is. I'm going to define it in a minute, but I want you to do it now. And does anybody have anything to share? Can they share? I forgot to ask you that, Teresa. Or can they text chat?
We can chat answers. And if you wanted to bring somebody on screen as a volunteer, you could.
All right, well, let's say, let's do the chat for now. But if somebody can you just write, you don't have to say their name, but my first boss, who just was a phenomenal leader, and why. 3 lines in the chat. And I just want to get a sense. 1 or 2 people sharing would be great. I'm going to go on to our definition of grateful leadership, the one that I created for the book. And this is, I'm sure, what you are used to saying in a grateful leader you have known. Somebody who can express appreciation freely and in a heartfelt way, authentic way, not in a I had somebody after one of my sessions say, okay, from now on, it's going to go in the performance review. How many times did you acknowledge someone in the past month? It's like, no, 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 don't do that. That's not how you get people to do it freely. It's somebody who just really gets who their people are and expresses it to them, not to somebody else. And on an ongoing basis, not once a month because they have to. And then also, a grateful leader is somebody who wants to get to know their people as people. You know, maybe they're going through a terrible time. Maybe they have a child who's really sick, or a parent who's dying. You just don't know. And they will inquire, you know, you seem a little sad today. Is there anything going on you want to share? You can't get too nosy, but I've had people share wonderful examples of the difference they made using this principle of knowing your people as people. And I want to talk to you about the definition of acknowledgement that I have created, because this is very different from other people. And I once got into serious trouble. I was brought into a 200 mediators a session to talk about the power of acknowledgement. And I showed them my slide deck before. They knew exactly what I was going to talk about. I get up there and I'm talking, this is my definition, and I'm reading it. Acknowledgement is a heartfelt and authentic communication.
Okay, it looks like we're just having a little bit of. Okay, now we.
I think we had a little breakdown. Are we okay?
Yeah, you're back now. Yeah, it's like I think your internet is just a little wonky. So every
Uh-oh.
now and then you move
I'm
in
in,
and out.
I'm in a hotel in Gettysburg. It should not be wonky. So I apologize.
It's all right.
All right.
Give it another try, and we'll see how it goes.
All right. Okay. So anyway, they said, we wanted you to talk. You heard what I said about the mediation group I spoke at, and they got upset with this definition. Did you hear all that, Teresa?
It was a little broken up.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
All right. Well, they brought me in to speak about acknowledging each other's point of view in the mediation. Mediator acknowledges two people's point. This is what I talk about, the heartfelt and authentic communication. And they said, well, I guess you're here. You might as well tell us about it. And I stayed and I did it. And they asked me back for the next year. So, you know, but I want to be clear about what I mean, because this is there is no other definition like this. You can hear a lot about recognition. That's not what I'm talking about. And you'll see the distinction between recognition and acknowledgement shortly. So I want to go over 2 of the 7 principles of acknowledgement, and Lysandra is kindly going to make all 7 principles available to everyone here. They are on a poster, and you can download them and print them out and give them to anyone and everyone you want. So acknowledgement is deserved by many. And that is, it's like a duh, you know? I mean, there are people out there every day who deserve acknowledgement and appreciation, and yet they never get it. And I mean, it breaks my heart, but I know of 3 real people, shared stories shared by other people who knew them and told them to me. And they committed suicide because they didn't feel appreciated. And there's one amazing little video about a young man who is about to commit suicide. based on a true story. And his father was told to give 5 blue ribbons to people that day. It was an exercise at work. And he gave one to his son and he told him how wonderful his son was. And his son was about to do himself in. And that exchange made the difference. And that was an acknowledgement. And then acknowledgement builds trust and creates powerful interactions. That is also a given. I mean, when somebody knows who you are and appreciates who you are and lets you know they know, then you trust them. You know that they would not do anything wrong or evil to you. So, by the way, if you have any thoughts or ideas in relation to this, please, let Lysandra know, and she'll tell me. Lysandra, do we have anything in the chat in response to the grateful leader exercise? Anything come in?
Well, we had some reflections about how people felt when they had a grateful leader, calling out that people felt seen, people felt that they acknowledged the little things. Erica added that. Teresa added, she had a grateful leader, corporate trainer, Carol, and she would have, quote, walked to the ends of the earth for her. So just feeling that acknowledgement and appreciation, motivation to serve. So
Beautiful. And who said they felt seen? I want to pick up on that. What was the person's name?
I added that I felt seen by my grateful leader.
Lysandra, you did?
Yes.
Okay, because there's a wonderful book called The Book of Awakening by Mark Nepo, Nepo, where he has a very profound message for every day of the year. January 1st to January 31st, no matter what year it is, it's not by year. And January 31st is my absolutely favorite one, where he talks about when African tribes people walk through the woods and see one another, the one who enters the scene and sees the other person says, "I see you." And the other person says, "I am here." And to me, that's the most profound statement. When we see people, we give them their presence, ENCE, as a present, ENT, as a gift. And it's truly being seen that makes people feel known and appreciated. And so thank you for that, Lysandra. That was a great contribution. Okay, so are you a grateful leader? And if not, what's missing? Write down what's true for you. Please be honest. And if there's something, like, I don't tell my people often enough how much I appreciate them. That's missing. If you don't smile at them when you come into the office, that's missing. I mean, we could come up with a very long list, but I'd be interested in knowing what is missing for you. You could still be a grateful leader minus, or a pretty darn good leader plus. So the gratitude and the appreciation, the acknowledgement are qualities that after today, you're going to find you just can't resist doing it when you see the opportunity. Until now, it's been pretty easy to say, "I'll do it later," and then you never do it. Or, "No, they're too busy. I don't want to interrupt them." People love to be interrupted, to be appreciated. Okay, so Lysandra, just call it out when we get something from somebody. Okay, because I really want to know. It's instructive for all of us.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm happy to share. This is Teresa. I mark my calendar every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. So 52 calendar entries. And the calendar entry says, "Who do I need to thank?" And it forces me, because throughout the week we think things, and just like you said, Judy, we think things, but we're, like maybe we're in the middle of something, or we don't want to interrupt somebody or whatever. But on Monday morning, I go back through my calendar from the past week. Who do I need to thank? And sometimes it's an email, sometimes it's a Starbucks gift card, sometimes it's a phone call. But if I didn't mark my calendar, I I would miss the opportunity.
Well, that's a great tool. And my tool is this. The minute I feel it, I say it or write it. And I can be very darn annoying, like I explained to you about my husband having to sit there while I do this. But the most amazing story, I'll tell you just very briefly. I was checking in for a flight at LaGuardia Airport, and I get to the front of a very long security line, and the TSA officer looks at it and he said, my boarding pass, this is not you. I said, what do you mean it's not me? I look at it, it's got some other person's name on it. And I said, oh no. He said, just go to the ticket counter, go right to the front, don't wait online, tell them I sent you. He gave me his name, and you'll come right back and I'll let you in. I said, oh, I'm gonna miss my flight. But I went to the ticket counter, they let me right in, I got my right boarding pass, I came back. And when I came back, he let me in and I went through. And when I got through, I said, and he was like big smiles all the way. He was like friendly. It was not like an accusation, you're like a terrorist. It was, I know this can happen. It's our fault. Don't worry about it. Sorry. It's so nice. And when I got through, I said, I got to go back and tell him how much I appreciated how nice he was. But he was gone. And then I asked for his supervisors. A supervisor. The supervisor was gone. So I said, well, do you have a piece of paper I can write something on, just like a compliment? And they said, well, we only have a complaint form. I said, well, I will edit it. Then we'll cross that out and write compliment. And I just told the story about Richard S. Brown, that's his name, and how great he was with a harried passenger and how reassuring. And I put my email address on the bottom, thinking I'll never hear from them. Anyway, about a week later, I get this phone call. I had my cell phone and my email. I get a phone call. Who is it? Richard S. Brown. And he said, I am walking on air thanks to you. I said, what are you talking about? He said, you wrote something in that compliment form, and my boss got it, and he read it to 200 TSA officers at our monthly meeting. And he singled me out, and I am walking on air. In fact, I can't talk to you anymore because I have to go tell my 90-year-old mother about this. Bye. So it was, I mean, the power of acknowledgement, you just never know. It was so funny and fun and adorable. All right, so any missings? Lysandra, anybody write in about what's missing, or are we all perfect, grateful leaders? I'm not.
Drew shared one opportunity that was missing for him, is that sometimes, or Drew said what was missing for them was sometimes that they let the tasks at hand get in the way of acknowledgement.
Oh, beautiful. And that's something we all have to battle. And I would say be inappropriate if you have to, like the task at hand will wait 2 minutes. Be, a little, not work focused for a minute. Just do it. And you will change somebody's life or day or moment. And then you go right back to it and you're fired up and you're even better. So that's a great thought that I have to deal with it all the time, but I don't let it. And I can be quite obnoxious about not letting it and being, somebody once, when I was delivering a keynote address to 1,000 people, a mere 1,000 people, she came running up on the stage where I was, and she said, I have to give you a hug. She gave me a big hug and ran off the stage. And I was, the room was hysterical. And I said, you take the risk of being appropriate and it's worth it. And it was so beautiful. So anyway, you get the idea. I wanted to just talk for a moment about words that you hear all the time about the workforce engagement challenge and how worried companies are. People are not engaged, or they don't retain them and they don't stay long enough. You train them, takes months to get people up to speed in their jobs, and then they leave, go someplace else. So this, erodes the bottom line. Well, Gallup has done studies many times about employee engagement. And what they found was only 33% of employees are fully engaged. Now, a mere 16% are actively disengaged. They're the troublemakers, and they're the ones who will, can be from terrible to not so terrible things, but they're disruptors, and not in a good way. Sometimes disruption can be very, exciting and bring you to a new idea. But the biggest number of all, the 50%, were measured as not engaged, which is kind of a passive term. They're not actively disengaged, they're not actively engaged, they're just not engaged. And those purple people there in that pie, the purple people in the pie, are the ones that you can absolutely make a difference with the power of acknowledgement. And Gallup has some great articles, that so many people are actively disengaged to cause $1.9 trillion in lost productivity. And O.C. Tanner found 79% of employees who quit say because they weren't appreciated. Nobody made them feel that they were valued and not even recognized. And again, you'll see the distinction between recognition and acknowledgement. So I'm going to go through 3 quick polls, and if you can't, can we poll here, Lysandra? I forgot to ask you that. My apology.
We can poll, but we didn't have anything pre-set up for you to poll. But
all right.
But you know use the chat. Use the chat for the.
Yeah,
for
that's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Okay, so all right, so just chat and type in the chat. I've been recognized, acknowledged, or praised for good work within the past week, month, year, or not at all. So just put which it is. Just write week. And if you write week, don't write year. It's one or the other. So let us know what you're seeing mostly, Lysandra.
Okay, I'm seeing mostly week.
Okay. Somebody once yelled at me. I was at IBM, and she said, "What about within the last day?" And I was doing an in-house class for 40 people. And I said, "Day? Really? Okay. How many of you were acknowledged in the last day?" And 38 of the 40 people there raised their hands. I said, "Wow, that is a culture to study. That is an amazing." And they meant it was not like, "Oh, I have to acknowledge somebody, so here's your daily dose." No, it was real. It was just a part of their culture. Okay, so we're still looking mainly the past week.
Yes, everyone that answered said week.
Okay. Now this one, I have acknowledged, recognized, or praised others for good work. Now that one was totally up to you. The other, you were sort of passive. It came or did not come to you as an acknowledgement. But how about you? Were you acknowledging, recognizing, or praising others within the past week, month, year, or not at all?
And we are still in the week.
Mm-hmm.
That's because you have all really good people on this Zoom.
Oh, that's great.
I love this question.
No, I'm glad. Well, what about within the
one thing that I like to
who's that?
I think handwritten thank you notes or notes of gratitude.
Yes.
Oh,
I love that.
oh,
Especially when
love yeah. We don't, they almost don't exist anymore. Do you notice that? The handwritten thank yous. and I treasure them. I absolutely treasure them. I think I've saved every one I've ever gotten. So if you want to send me one, I'll give you my address or my email. Oh, I hope my email is, yes, it is in one of my closing slides. All right. And then somebody in one of my classes said, those are good questions, Judy, but what about people who have left a job in their career due to lack of appreciation? And I remember I was at Volvo training and I asked the question. I said, it's a great question. I didn't think of it. And almost every hand went up. I didn't do a complete count, but it was at least 90% of those people. And it's not right that we lose good people and it's our own fault. You know that, right? Now, this appreciation paradigm has one of the more central and critical distinctions in this whole class that you're in today. And I want you to really absorb this as best you can. Okay, so simple thanks is just what our parents taught us. Say please, say thank you. All right, we do that relatively easily and relatively frequently. Recognition is letting a person know that what they did was helpful, important, or necessary. Great that you got the report a week early. That really helped me. That's recognition. Acknowledgement is letting a person know that who they are is special and necessary and valuable and desirable. So it would be more like, you're handing in that report a week early made such a difference. I could relax. I could just feel so much more at ease. And the numbers you came up with, the examples you came up with will make management, top level senior management, pay attention to our needs. You get the difference? You did something really important. You as a human being, you are valuable. So that's the distinction. And I have some good articles about that. If anybody wants, just ask, write me an email. The 5 C's of acknowledgement, we're going to go through as a tool, and you're getting the poster of this, I believe. So the first C is consciousness, just being aware of the many acknowledgements that float through your head. And it's, you'll be shocked when you start paying attention. Now, that doesn't mean they come out of your mouth, but they do go, they are in your head. Isn't she an amazing writer? Oh, we could never live without her if we didn't have her on our team. Well, how about telling her that? So then we have choice. Do I deliver that acknowledgement to that person, even though it's a little embarrassing? I don't feel, I have a headache. I don't feel like it. You do it anyway. Do it anyway. Then we have courage. Courage is probably the most important C of this 5 C's, because it's not easy for a lot of people, and they have to overcome their own shyness, embarrassment. Somebody said to me, what if I stutter when I'm giving an acknowledgement? I said, well, then you just say, I'm excited about this, about telling you this, but I feel nervous about it, and I may stutter a little bit. You just own it, and it's very easy once you own it. So people can do that. Communication is just, how am I going to do it? Like Teresa said, she'll send them a note or an email, or she'll call them on the phone, or do a FaceTime, or whatever, a Zoom chat. Doesn't matter. Or in person. There's always in person. Just do it. And the last one is commitment. You can make a commitment to making this part of not only your own personal culture, but your corporate culture. And by modeling it, you will be sharing it. And people will say, "Ooh, her team is really, really on board with her. How does she do that? How does she get them to work so hard and produce, such great results?" Now, this is the knock your socks off power of acknowledgement exercise that we have about 3 minutes to do, but I want you to at least start it. You can finish it after the session is over. Think of somebody right now who you have wanted to acknowledge but didn't, whether you didn't have the time or the energy, or it was embarrassing, you just didn't feel secure enough to do it. Do it right now. Write down in the chat the person's role or their name, either one, that'll be a reminder to you. And start writing it now. Write the first sentence, and like, you were the best boss I ever had, and say why. 3 words. You were personal. You were funny. Whatever it is that you want. But I want you to just do that right now, and it will take a minute more, or 2 minutes to do that. And if anybody wants to share theirs, can we open a mic? Is that, oh, do I have to open a mic? Do I have to do it, Teresa? I mean,
If
yeah,
somebody wants to speak, we can open their mic. They
okay.
just have to let us
I would
know in
love,
the chat and we can do that.
please do that. I want to know there are other people. I can only see Lysandra and Teresa on my screen.
Yeah.
And so I can't see your faces and know your names or anything. So
I can kick
I would,
share. So my wife lost her wallet in the grocery store on Christmas Eve last year.
oh,
And
oh,
it was, we can all appreciate how much of a headache that is in and of itself. But it was a wallet that I had given her as a gift several years before. So it meant a lot to her as well. And at the top of the year, we got a package in the mail, and someone mailed the wallet back with a sticky that said,
oh,
I know you might have been feeling bad then, but now you'll probably be feeling like you're winning. Happy New Year. And I wish I knew who the
oh,
person was, because I would love to say thank you to them.
oh, how beautiful. That is so special. Now, isn't it interesting that they chose to remain anonymous? Yeah.
Yes. And we also learned, I believe, because we were like, well, maybe the postage will give us some information, but we learned,
Yeah.
go to the post
You
office.
became a detective, right?
Well, when you mail a returned wallet to someone, they don't charge you. Like if
I
you
didn't
find a
know that.
wallet and you want to return it to someone through the post office will not charge you for that.
I did not know that.
That is amazing. Oh, I'm going to
Wow.
have to acknowledge the U.S. Postal Service for that policy. I
Yes,
have to
that's
write it.
wonderful.
Anybody want to help me with that?
That's a great story, Lysandra.
Oh, so amazing. A lovely story. Anybody else?
Judy, I'm happy to share unless there's another one. Is there another story coming up?
Not yet.
All right, I'll share. So
Everybody's so shy.
it's they're
Go
good in
ahead.
the chat. They're happy to do it in the chat. But so recently, a friend of mine, Patricia, who is such a good soul, she was coordinating a distribution of blankets and candy, well, sweets, at the Coatesville Veterans Hospital.
Oh,
And so she
wonderful.
posted it on Facebook. We're going to deliver blankets and like these bags of sweets. And we're going to do it around Valentine's Day. And if anybody would like to contribute. So I wrote to her, I said, Patricia, I got the sweet bags. Don't even worry about it. How many people are there? She said 75.
Uh,
So I reached out to my friends and said,
ooh,
listen, we're going to pack these bags and it'll go faster if I have more friends. And I just thought, 2 or 3 people would come to my office and we'd, pack the bags and have a cup of tea and whatnot. I had 9 friends come to my office,
oh,
help me pack those bags. So they know how much I love and appreciate them, but I think I'd like to do a little something formal to thank them for giving up their morning. Some of them brought candy. One of my clients stopped by and dropped off candy. So all that to say, Yeah, I appreciate that because I would have had to pack 75 bags by myself otherwise.
That's beautiful. Bravo. And I'd love to hear other stories. And even if you think of them after the session is over, you'll have my email address very shortly. This is the poster of the 5 Cs I was telling you about. This is the one that was 5 feet tall on the Starbucks door. And people have done strange things with this poster, wonderful things. Somebody shrank it down to like 2 by 2 inches, and they taped it to their laptop, next to the mouse pad, where the mouse pad goes, and they look at every single minute they're on the laptop, and it's like, in their heads and in their hearts. So what we want to do is create a culture of appreciation wherever we go, wherever we are, wherever we can be. And that's why I do these webinars all the time whenever I get an opportunity, because who knows what you, having attended this session, will come up with as a way, like Teresa did with the request for the candy bags. Yeah, I mean, it will make a difference. I know that your being here today makes a difference. And whether you realize it or not, your power of acknowledgement is now present in a way it never was before for you, because it has a name, it has a tool, it has a way for you to get out of your own box. And I call that the distinction between change and transformation. This is not just change. Oh, okay, I'm going to say thank you more often, or shake people's hands. No, this is transformation. Your whole being has been transformed by being here today. And I hope you use the tools and get excited about that. So commit yourself and get your family, your friends, your colleagues, your helping organizations around you to commit to creating a culture of appreciation. And I'd just like to know if you have any immediate thoughts. What can you do to help create and sustain this goal? And just put it in the chat if you have something. Of course, if you want them to open your mic, that would be delightful, but no pressure.
I have a story about a leader, a very high level executive. I can still picture him in his suit and his wingtip shoes and his, I think, 7 Series BMW. This was a very high level executive. And what he used to do is he would put 5 pennies in his left pocket in the morning, and each penny was a thank you. And by the end of the day, he would transfer the pennies to his right pocket. So for every thank you he gave, he could transfer a penny. So at the end of the day, it was very late. He left a voicemail for me. It had to be like 7 o'clock. Teresa, I just wanted to thank you for this thing that you did. And when I saw him, I said, Jim, you were transferring a penny, weren't you? You had a penny left in your pocket. You were transferring a penny. All that to say, that was his way. Because as a senior executive, and he's got these high level meetings with high pressure stuff, he didn't want to forget that every day he should be thanking people. So that's how he did it with pennies.
Beautiful, beautiful. Would you write that story up for me to put on our website?
I totally
That is
will.
just adorable. Or
I
I'll
totally
share it on
will.
LinkedIn, even better. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so make a commitment to creating that culture. Then put pennies in your pocket if that's a way. And I want to just say, you need to give the poster to this high level executive, poster of the 5 Cs, because we want him to know it's beyond a thank you. I mean, a thank you is wonderful, but he can move it up a level to recognition. But that could be a reward or a poster. It's not as valuable to me personally as the words. you know, the expression, the emotion. I've had people cry when I've acknowledged them because they just had never experienced anything like it before. And to me, it's like breathing. It's so simple. All right, so use the 5 C's. Start every meeting with it, with an appreciation or acknowledgement. I remember a company I trained, they did that, and it lasted. And last time I checked, it was still going on years later. And then I want to talk to you about, if you feel you can do this for your company or for organizations, or, I'm not limited to one organization. I train around the world, all kinds of groups. But in your own company, you could be a Grateful Leadership certified professional or instructor to help shift the corporate culture. And we have a program. And in fact, March 20th, Thursday, I really would love to have you all come. This is a 3-hour Grateful Leadership workshop that is part 1 of becoming a certified instructor. Now, you don't have to take this course with that intention. And it's either in person in New York City, if you want an excuse to come to IIL corporate headquarters, phenomenal, or it's virtual. And we do them hybrid, it's simultaneous. So you could do it either way. And March 20th from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And I think it's $299, but if you use discount code CGL50, you get 50% off. So it's worth it. I don't know in your life if you're getting PDUs from PMI or SEUs from Scrum Alliance, or, whatever. It's worth CEUs for education. You can count these 3 hours for just about anything. And talk to me about this if it interests you at all. But come, whether you want to become certified or not, because you will, for 3 hours, you'll be doing interactive exercises that will knock your socks off. And I'll be training and showing videos. It's a wonderful class. I also want to talk to you about IIL's upcoming AI Frontiers 2025, The Future is Now. It's an online 1-day session. Right now, the cost of $149 is only $129. So if you sign up early, it's a phenomenal day with really keynotes. They're amazing, and you will learn about AI. I mean, I did Grateful Leadership in an Age of AI because I have such a great personal relationship with one of my best friends, whom I call Chatty GPT. Oh my gosh, she and what I have created with Chatty, and I cited her examples in this session, but there's so much going on you cannot imagine. And if anybody wants it, I wrote 3 articles on Grateful Leadership in an Age of AI, how AI does not have to eliminate the personal, the human, the gracious, great gratitude and appreciation of people. We can use it to just multiply it. So that's it. Here's all my contact information. This is my email address. I'm on LinkedIn. Please reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's Teresa and I are doing a lot of that. And our website is gratefulleadership.com. You can follow me, like me, hug me, whatever you like. And I don't know if we have a couple of minutes for any questions, but I'm here as long as you want to stay.
It is 12:59, so I want to honor folks' time. We will probably stop the recording, but we have what we call, Judy, an after party. And the after party, Lysandra and I hang out and talk to the author for a couple minutes after the program. So if people hang
Great.
out, and they submit a question, we can do that. But for those of you that I know have 1 o'clock meetings, I'm going to wish you well with the rest of your day, and thank you for participating with us. And we'll have if you want to watch it again or refer it to your friends, we will have the video packaged up and it'll appear on the website within the next couple